Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Vijayendra Singh Tawar, Associate Professor in English. Presently, I have been posted at Government College, Guda. In this video series, of, which is being prepared on different topics by me, today's video is meant for the students, Class BA Part First, Subject English Literature, Paper Second. And in this video, we are going to discuss critical appreciation of Francis Bacon's famous essay of studies. Francis Bacon, this is a name in English literature, and we know about him. Alexander Pope said he was the brightest, wisest, and meanest of mankind. We discussed it, but now as we are to concentrate on the question point of view, any question, essay type question, you can write material from this essay, which I am giving you at this time. Francis Bacon was born in 1561 and died in 1626. That is, he was a contemporary of William Shakespeare. That he lived in the same age. He is regarded as the father of English essays. Father of English essay means he was the first person who started writing essay in English language. Though the father of essay is Montaigne, the Roman writer, to him goes the credit of introducing the essay into English literature, as he was the first person. He is thus a pioneer in introducing, a man who introduced a new genre into the literature of his country. Bacon has written many essays. It is said that he wrote about 58 essays and 3 are also given his name. So you can say 61. All his essays give ideas, are replete with ideas, the ideas which are very, very helpful to a person to get success in this world. That is why his essays are regarded as a treasure house of what is called worldly wisdom. Worldly wisdom means the kind of wisdom that is necessary for achieving worldly success. Worldly wisdom does not imply any deep philosophy or any ideal morality. Means he does not preach morality. He does not preach any kind of philosophy. He preaches only how to get success. So we can say worldly wisdom simply means the art or technique that a man should employ to achieve success in his life. Bacon is fully justified in describing his essays as dispersed meditations, because he himself stated it, that his essays are the capsules of wisdom, and they are scattered here and there. The style of writing of Bacon is this: he selects a subject and then writes an essay on it without in the least losing sight of that subject. Now, in the essay entitled Of Studies, which was published in 1597, about this fact, let me clarify you, that Bacon started writing essays, or first time published his essays in 1597, 10 essays. Then in 1612, he published again 28 or 29 more essays, and the 10, he included earlier 10 essay and modifies them. In 1625, he again modifies, enlarged all his essays and published in 1625 about 58 essays. Francis Bacon in this essay examines the benefits and effects of studies. He says that when Studies are balanced by experience. Means common sense is used while getting knowledge from the books. We will be benefited. At the same time, he also says that different studies also help to counteract personal imperfections in the mind of the reader. The purpose of this essay is to persuade the reader to study as well as to instruct the reader on how to study if he is to make the best of what he reads. He does this by using many rhetorical devices and substantiations to prove his arguments, that he presents his points in a effective manner with arguments, with logical or logically we can say. Now we begin come to the material which has been used by the author. First of all, the author begins his essay by telling us the advantages or the uses of study. He says a study of books is useful from 3 points of view. What are they? It is a source of pleasure, first point. Second, it is has an ornamental value. And third, it adds to one's ability. Now he's explaining them one by one. Pleasure means the pleasure of study can chiefly be enjoyed by a man when he has no company and is leading a life of aloofness and retirement. That he has leisure. He has time and he can enjoy by the material of the books. The second benefit is ornamental value. The ornamental value of study shows itself in the conversation of a well-read man, which is way of speaking, way of conversing, way of debating will be impressive. From books, man gets materials such as illustration, quotation with which to embellish his conversation. The third is man also develops the ability of making correct judgment in his day-to-day affairs and managing them well. Is he well-read? He will get so much experience that he will take right decision. Men of experience certainly have the capacity of dealing with individual or particular matter as they come along. But the general guidance, the planning, and the overall management of affairs can be expected only from persons who have done a lot of reading and have derived ample knowledge from books. That is, they will be able to handle these matters in an effective manner as compared to ordinary person. Now, three abuses of study. He says, if a man spends too much time in studies, it means that he is temperamentally lazy, he is full of indolence. If a man makes too much use of knowledge that he has derived from books in order to impress people by his conversation, it means that he is trying to make a vain display of his learning, pedantic show of his knowledge. It is not a good idea, he says. If a man allows the judgment to be governed only by the rules he has learned from books, it shows the eccentricity of his scholar. Means that person is not a normal, is an eccentric people. Bacon wants to say that a man should spend a reasonable length of time on studies, not too much, not too less, not let book knowledge overwhelm. Neither he should be guided only by books. Now, studies and practical experience complement each other. Study and experience, according to Bacon, should go in hand because they simultaneously. They should be mutually complementary. Study of books develops and perfects a man's ability, and they are in turn enriched by practical experience. Comparing natural abilities with natural or wild plant, Bacon says that just as a plant left to nature needs trimming, that is cutting, so that it can improve in a better manner. A man's natural abilities are to be shaped and developed by study of books. In other words, natural or crude instincts, impulses, desires, passions, or natural qualities inherited from forefathers have to be trained, controlled, educated, and sublimated by the study of books. Theoretical knowledge obtained by study is too often vague, unclear for use, unless its application is enriched by experience. Hence, common sense is required to make best use of the knowledge which we have got from books. Books lay down or set forth certain broad principles or theories, but they should be narrowed down and applied to a particular case, provided that one should have sufficient practical experience of life to fall back upon. To use that, one should have common sense also. Now, cunning man, shrewd man, look down upon studies as useless. They regard study as useless. Why? They think that their shrewdness and ingenuity will supply the place of life experience. Simple men, simple men means who are neither wise nor shrewd, merely express an admiration for books and learning. Wise men are those who make a practical use of those studies. They utilize that knowledge. Our studies do not teach a man their own use. In other words, a man may derive knowledge from books, but books will not teach him how to use that knowledge. It is the common sense which will one has to use the knowledge derived from the books in an effective manner. The use of knowledge can be learned from actual experience. The use of knowledge comes from wisdom based on experience. That is common sense, practical utility. And experience lies outside books and is something higher than that what the books will provide. The right attitude towards reading. Now the author says one should not read books merely to oppose or reject the views of the authors of books if one person happens to disagree with them. Means you should not have a target that I am reading this book just to oppose Mr. So and so views. Not like that. For to stick to one's opinion tenaciously is narrow-mindedness or a kind of dogmatism. If you do it, it means you are narrow-minded. Nor should one accept everything that books say passively, without using common sense. One should use common sense to accept what has been written in the books. One should also not read a book with the sole intention of getting material for one's conversation. A man should read books in order to ponder over what he reads and to judge the value of what the books contain. Some books are to be read in parts only. This is a very important statement of Bacon. Some books are to be read quickly and hastily. Just skipping over, there are only a small number of books that deserve to be read thoroughly and closely. Thus, only a number of books, small number, very few books we can say, provide the knowledge and the wisdom that are to be imbibed and made a permanent part of one's self. Means only few books have that kind of material which one needs to read thoroughly. To put it differently, some books are to be read only partially. Others are to be read from one end to the other, but not carefully. And some few, almost negligible, are to be read carefully and with great attention and concentration. The idea is there are some books or few books which one should read and digest inwardly into his mind. In case of some books, a man may engage somebody else to read them and then tell him what they contain and also give him extracts from them. Means summaries. We may ask his assistant to give the summary of certain books. But this method should be adopted in the case of meaner sort of books only. That is not good books. A man will not be satisfied with a synopsis or summary of a book. A mere synopsis or summary is tasteless. Like distilled water. Now see the simile. Distilled water is tasteless as there are many minerals which have been taken out from the water, and therefore one does not enjoy drinking it. Similarly, one will not really enjoy reading the gist or the summary and the substance of a book. That is, one reads, one can enjoy the whole thing, not only the summary. Modes of study and their uses. The reading fills the mind with new ideas and thoughts and develops the whole personality of a man. That is, it makes a man full man. Conversation makes a man quick and alert so that he never feels the want of what to say at a particular moment. That is, he becomes a ready man. If a man is in the habit of taking down notes from books, he will become exact and precise in his thinking and even in his talk. It would be necessary for him to have a strong memory so that he may be able to cite facts and figures. This is a person who is not in the habit of reading, making notes down, then he should have a sharp memory. If a man does not participate in conversation, it would be necessary for him to have a natural ready wit. Then he should have natural intelligence. And if a man does not read much, it would be necessary for him to have enough skill and cleverness to be able to create a good impression of being learned even though he is ignorant. He should be able to impress the society in which he is behaving or he is facing that he is a knowledgeable person. Now, different values of different subjects. Studies influence a man's character. It is a fact. Mold his personality. In other words, what one study never fails to mold one's character. His person who studies something is going to be impressed by that thing. Thus, the study of history makes a man wise. When a man reads histories of different countries and peoples, he learns about their deeds and misdeeds. And you get that knowledge and he can utilize that in his life. The study of poetry makes a man imaginative as he learns beautiful and apt expressions. The study of mathematics makes a man's mind keen and subtle and develops his power of concentration. Natural philosophy enables a man to go deep into things by acquainting him with the profound secrets, and moral philosophy fosters a serious attitude in a man, that he becomes a serious, grave personality. Logic develops a man's ability to debate and argue. He becomes an expert debater. Rhetoric, that is the art of persuasive speaking, develops the ability to persuade the listener to agree with one's opinion. Thus, various subjects of study develop in man's various capabilities. Means different subjects have different kind of impact in the on the personality of the reader. Now, curative power of study means not only study impresses the personality of a person, sometimes it cures the mental defect of the person. Bacon says that studies are a cure for mental deficiency or disease, as physical exercises are designed to cure physical defects and disease. Just as physical defects are cured by physical exercise, the same way studies can cure mental defect. For example, bowling is a good for the kidneys. Bowling is a game in which we throw a ball to make the things fall which are in front of us. This is good for kidneys. Shooting, that is archery, is good for the lungs, and walking is good for digestion, and riding is good for head. If a man is absent-minded, if he is unable to concentrate on a particular topic, he should study mathematics. In solving mathematical problem, he will have to concentrate all his attention carefully upon it. The least inattention and carelessness will make the calculation wrong. As a result, he will have to do the whole thing again. So he will soon learn the value of concentration. That is, he will become sharp-minded. Gradually, he will form a habit of concentrating his attention whenever he is called upon to do a work. Thus, his deficiency will be cured. For a man who fails to distinguish between things, the study of writing of the philosophers of the Middle Ages is recommended. The idea is the philosophers of the Middle Ages, they were known as hair splitters. Means they have the talent of giving differences, even the things which may not appear different generally. It was the humor of these philosophers to indulge into hair splitting controversies and argumentation on petty points of ethics and metaphysics. The study of these philosophers will develop the ability of distinguishing between things. Sometimes you might have seen in some magazines that there are two pictures. You will be asked to tell the difference between these two pictures. There are 10 differences between them. So they became sharp-minded. If a man lacks the ability to pass quickly and logically from one point to another, and if he lacks the ability to recall, remember, a thing to prove and exemplify another, he should take up the study of legal cases. Because in courts, lawyers use it. They give precedent one after the other to prove their point. A lawyer has to find precedents, examples, to explain, illustrate, and prove his point under consideration. By studying these cases, a man will develop the faculty of shifting quickly from one point to another and using precedents to illustrate a point. Thus, every mental defect has its special remedy. The idea is all kinds of mental drawbacks can be cured by different kind of study. Now, critical appreciation. This is one of Bacon's most popular essays. Whatever the author has said regarding books is calculating to command the reader's acceptance that it the well thought out opinion of a learned man. Means even the reader will say after reading this that Bacon was a well learned personality. There is simplicity of style and felicity of phrasing in this essay. That is pleasing way of writing. The analogies, similarities are frequent and appropriate and enrich the presentation of the argument. Means they are highly suggestive. They put the idea into mind clearly. The similes are taken from common, everyday, and familiar experiences of life. There are Latin quotations that increase the scholarly quality of the essay. The essay is a wonderful example of the compact and compressed style, means aphoristic style. The author has been able to express what he wanted to say in the fewest possible words. Though the ideas are expressed with greatest economy of words, there is no obscurity, no unclarity. It is clear. There are number of sentences that read like maxims and proverbs, for example. Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. This has become a proverb. Reading makes a full man, conference a ready man, writing an exact man. In a nutshell, in short, it is one of the finest essays in English prose. It gives us a number of sound maxims and a number of sentences that we can use as quotation when occasion demands. The essay, like other essay, is full of worldly wisdom. Any person can be benefited by reading it. Thank you very much.